Both begin the journey.
Every move begins with a choice.
Welcome to Chess with Nipuna.
Many black players feel discouraged to play as black because of white's early initiative. But black can gain the initiative. To learn how it's done, let's study the Blackburne Shilling Trap and the Kieninger Trap.
Let us begin with the Blackburne Shilling Trap, a classic tactical motif in the Italian game. White opens the game with e4, claiming central space. Black responds symmetrically with e5, meeting the challenge head-on. White continues with knight into f3, attacking the center and inviting tension. Black must absorb the pressure and calmly develop with knight into c6. Now, white plays bishop into c4, entering the Italian formation, a setup rich with tactical possibilities. Black now plays knight into d4, a calm yet provocative move, offering the pawn on e5 as bait. This sacrifice invites white to choose among several candidate moves. White may capture the pawn with knight captures e5, or exchange knight in d4. Alternatively, white might choose to castle, or reinforce the center with c3 or d3. Each choice leads to a different path, but only one opens the door to the trap. That is knight captures e5. Here on black takes the initiative and space for place a tactical pressure. Black now plays qg5, a sudden and dual threat. The queen targets g2, threatening mate, and also eyes the knight on e5. White must respond carefully. Two candidate moves emerge. Knight captures f7, a bold strike at the rook. Or bishop captures f7, a check that seeks to disrupt black's coordination. But both moves, though tempting, lead deeper into the trap. Let us now examine white's candidate moves. If white plays bishop x f7 check, delivering check. Black calmly steps aside with king into d8, preserving the trap. White, sensing danger, attempts to retreat the knight, knight into f3, seeking safety. But now black strikes with queen captures g2, intensifying the pressure. White faces two defensive options. First, rook into f1, bringing the rook to shield the back rank. Second, knight captures d4, capturing the intruding knight. Both moves attempt to restore balance, but the trap remains alive. How? White plays rook f1, hoping to shield the back rank. Black responds with knight x f3, a check that forces the king to move. White plays king e2. Now d5, opening the diagonal for the bishop to enter via bishop g4. White tries h3, a temporary solution to block bishop g5. But black plays knight d4 check. The king has only one safe square, on d3. If instead white plays king e1, then queen x e4 check. After queen d2, black finishes with queen x d2 checkmate. Even king e3 leads to queen x e5 checkmate. Thus, king d3 is the only path to survival. Black continues with queen x e4 check, forcing king moves on to c3. Knight b5 check, king b3, and finally queen into c4, a quiet check made in the corner. What if white avoids h3 and plays king into d3 directly? Black plays bishop g5, then king c3. Now d4 check, forcing king goes to b3. d3 follows, giving space for knight d4 check. Therefore white plays king on a4. Black plays dx c2. After queen x c2, knight d4 attacks the queen. White retreats with queen to d3. But the king is now on a mating net. Bishop e7 check. The only flight square is king on a5. Then b6 check, and the king breathes its last on a6. Bishop c8 checkmate, a ceremonial mate, where geometry meets silence. What if white plays d4, seeking space for both king and queen? Black responds with bishop on g4, a quiet threat with devastating consequences. From this moment on, whatever white does, the queen will fall.
Let us now examine the second candidate move after Queen captures g2, nx d4, capturing the intruding knight. Black responds with Queen captures h1 check, and claiming the rook. White's king steps to e2, seeking refuge. Black continues with Queen x e4 check, a central check that forces the king back to f1. Now Queen x d4, the queen reclaims the knight. At this point, White holds a material advantage with an extra rook. But the position remains sharp. Black has active pieces and tactical chances. Let us now examine another candidate move after Queen g5, Knight x f7. White captures the pawn on f7, guarded by the bishop on c4, and applies pressure to the rook on h8. Black responds with Queen x g2, threatening both the rook on h1 and the pawn on e4. Now, what if White tries to defend the pawn? If the knight moves to g5, attempting to shield e4. Black plays Queen x h1, claiming the rook and delivering check. White interposes with the bishop from c4, blocking the queen's path to the king. But Black now holds an extra rook and maintains attacking momentum. The trap remains alive, and White's position grows increasingly fragile. As example, Black could attack the knight on g5 and capture the e4 pawn to go for an endgame with an extra rook. What if White tries to protect the rook on h1 with moving to f1? Black responds with Queen x e4, a central check that demands an answer. Now the White king has no flight squares. The only options are to interpose the check. Queen into d2, placing the queen in the line of fire. But Black plays Knight x d2, capturing the queen and gaining a decisive advantage. Alternatively, White may try bishop into d2, bringing the bishop from c4 to block the check. But this leads to a ceremonial finish, knight into f3. A smothered mate, where the knight delivers the final breath, and the king is sealed in silence. Now we turn to the Kieninger Trap, a tactical jewel hidden within the Budapest Gambit. The game begins with d4 to knight f6. Then c4 to e5. Black offers a pawn to disturb White's center. White accepts with dx e5, and Black responds with knight into g4, eyeing the weak e5 pawn and preparing a swift initiative. At this point, White holds an extra pawn. To maintain the upper hand, White plays bishop into f4, aiming to defend the e5 pawn. But this move, though natural, is not strategically sound. Beneath this calm surface, a storm is brewing. It develops the bishop early, yet fails to address the deeper threats Black is preparing. Black now plays knight into c6, developing the knight and adding pressure to the e5 pawn. White still holds the extra pawn, but the position begins to shift. The trap is quietly forming, each move a thread in the tactical web. White now plays knight into f3, a natural developing move, reinforcing the center and preparing to castle. This move appears solid, but it allows Black to continue building pressure. The trap remains hidden, waiting for the right moment to unfold. Black now plays bishop to b4, a check that begins to stir the tactical waters. This move forces White to respond, and subtly shifts the momentum. The bishop's check is not just a nuisance, it's a thread in the trap's design. White responds to the check with knight bd2, a quiet move that blocks the bishop and develops the knight. Black now has the opportunity to deepen the pressure and prepare the tactical strike. Black now plays queen into e7, bringing the queen into the battle and reinforcing pressure on the e5 pawn. White still holds the extra pawn, but the position is no longer safe. White now plays a3, a seemingly quiet move, challenging the bishop and preparing for queenside expansion. But this move does not address the growing tension in the center. e5 is the shading piece to the white king, therefore black now plays knight into e5, recapturing the pawn and igniting the trap. This move unleashes pressure on the center and opens lines for the queen and bishop. White now plays axb4, capturing the bishop and challenging black's initiative. This move appears to relieve pressure, but the trap is already breathing. Black's pieces are harmonized. The queen, knight, and central tension remain poised. The bishop is gone, but the danger is not. Could you pause the video and find the winning move? If you could find it, I guarantee that you have tactical eyes. Yes, black now plays knight into d3, a quiet yet devastating move. The knight delivers a smothered checkmate. The white king is sealed, unable to escape. This is the heart of the Kieninger Trap, a mate born from harmony, not haste. Each piece played its part. The queen, the bishop, the knights, all moved with purpose.
Every trap begins with silence. Every victory with understanding. Let this scroll guide your next move.
Hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you in the next lesson of Chess with Nipuna.